Before we go to the two driver contracts, Drew on YouTube says, "What's up with the Chicago Grand Prix trademark stuff?" And I saw that over the weekend, and I meant to try to dig into it officially, but I saw some website and I clicked it, and it looked like one of those information services where you can go see who's filed what, and it looked legit. Now, I'm not going to spread rumors until I can learn some more about this. But Jonathan, you may not even heard this, but
No,
they
I haven't.
what they're saying was that they were registered some trademarks. I forgot what they were. Were they trademarks or were they there was something that said Formula One Chicago Grand Prix. And they looked and they
Ooh.
registered a whole bunch of them. Yeah, you have the right facial expression. It's like, whoa. So
Well, it wouldn't be too odd if GM were there.
what do you mean? You mean
Well, Chicago, Detroit, not very far
okay,
away,
okay,
but
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it would. I wouldn't put it past. So, but it was really interesting.
well, I tell you what, they could also be thinking about in that obviously the success. I mean, it poured with rain and Shane Van Gisbergen won, but obviously that street setup in Chicago is going to be used again. They like it, and it's big enough where you could have a Formula One street circuit, which wouldn't affect Miami, wouldn't affect Vegas. They're very different, is what I'm getting at. This is a typical downtown street circuit that NASCAR use. So you could either use it before or after, or amalgamate a Formula One NASCAR weekend. Now that would be fun.
yeah. Well, it started to propagate to several of the bigger websites now. I'm looking on autoweek.com and it says Formula One takes first step towards Chicago Grand Prix. It says Formula One has registered several trademarks for a race in Chicago, including Formula One Grand Prix of Chicago, Grand Prix of Chicago, Chicago Grand Prix, Formula One Chicago Grand Prix. All names registered last week. Now it says, well,
Wow.
trademark names can be registered without commitment to any event, of course, just like
Yeah.
buying a domain name or whatever. And somebody's probably already bought all those, but it says the move could be the first steps towards another U.S. race, F1 race. So very interesting, right?
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, we shall
That
see.
that that does throw the cat amongst the pigeons in that, could we sustain four?
I,
Gunter was one that believed we could.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting that.
Yeah, and when I think of that, I think of the momentum that F1 has, right? And last year it leveled off. If you go back and look at you remember my spreadsheet? I stopped. Well, I need to fill in the last couple of races for last year, but essentially the growth was flat from 22 to 23 on ESPN.
Nerd alert!
But if you but if you look at what happened, of course, with Max Verstappen winning virtually everything in Red Bull, you can chalk a lot of it up to that. But I think that a movie done by Jerry Bruck, what's his name? Bruckheimer?
Bruckheimer.
And
Yep.
starring Brad Pitt will probably move the needle, I think, a little bit, boys. And they were there at Daytona, right, Jonathan?
Yeah. They were filming, weren't they?
Yeah, they were filming. So
So basically, they're saying that what as part of the sort of Formula One, he gets to Formula One, but at some point he goes and does Daytona. Yeah.
right, yeah, it's Bruckheimer, by the way. I'm remembering it, but yes, they said
Gary Bruckheimer.
yeah, they said that the Daytona was part of the plot, or maybe an endurance race, but it was part of the way that the retired driver that Brad Pitt plays was coming back to Formula One somehow. I don't know. Maybe he needed to get some super license points or something, but I don't know. But my point is that we've got all this momentum, and I think that will be a nice little steroid injection to Formula One audience to grow the audience of having a Brad Pitt movie,
Oh yeah.
talking about Formula One. So I think that can't hurt.